all this pressure builds up.
No one's ever got three.
When you're winning, people look at you and are like, you're the villain.
Cut the camera quickly.
It's an emotional game.
Win or lose, this team will never be the same.
How about those?
Get Up is brought to you by Auto Trader. Their tools sync with your budget and preferences to tailor the entire car shopping experience to you. Visit autotrader.com to find your perfect ride. Let's run the hurry up with holdout news. We have Schfter here. Let's take advantage of that. Schfter, what's the latest on Terry McLaurin in Washington?
Standoff still, Greeny. They haven't made a lot of progress, at least so far. And again, it's August 11th. Deals don't have to get done right now. They have to get done later this month. And usually the later it gets, the more pressure there is on both sides. I don't think that anybody's feeling that right now, but there is frustration on both sides that they've been unable to bridge their differences.
Quickly, Dan, panic or patience here?
This is still patience. I think this gets done. I don't like the way they've gone about it. I know this, one of the things that was surprising about Jaden Daniels last year, the ability to throw the ball so well down the field, about 875 yards on go balls. Half of that went to Terry McLaurin. You guys want that out in Washington? Then get it done.
All right, Buffalo's our next stop. Schfter, James Cook and the Bills, where are we with that?
Yeah, he continues not to practice. Now, what was unusual was on Saturday, he came out in uniform for pregame warm-ups, went through drills, but didn't want to go play. Obviously looking for that new contract. Look, Kyren Williams gets done last week with the Rams. It should not be that difficult to get a deal done here for James Cook. The two sides can't be terribly far apart, but they've been struggling to find common ground. I think eventually they will, but they're not there right now.
Mike T, panic or patience?
I was patient. Now I'm panicking. I don't like when a player goes out there and you think he's going to play and he doesn't. The Buffalo Bills front office solves a lot of problems, but they can't get to where they want to go without him, especially the way they played last year.
All right, Schfter, the next one in Cincinnati. We talk about how good the Bengals offense looked in their preseason stint there, but Trey Hendrickson and that defense, what's the latest with him?
Well, Greeny, you've got a situation where he came back to camp a couple of weeks ago to jumpstart talks. And since then, we haven't heard about a whole lot of progress. There continues to be disagreements over the guaranteed money in this deal. No issue solving the average that Trey Hendrickson should be paid. No issue on the length of the deal, but the guaranteed money continues to be the holdup. And until they can figure that out, they're not going to have a deal. And we've already heard Trey Hendrickson say he's not playing on this contract $16 million or so this year. He will not do that, so we'll see how both sides handle this in the coming weeks.
Ruining a Super Bowl window, like a real Super Bowl window, wasting it with this situation with Cincinnati. Did you watch the preseason game against the Eagles? I could have run for 100 yards on a couple clips. I mean, that defense was a problem last year. They lost games when they scored 33-plus points at a historic rate, and we're still letting this leak into the middle of August if you're Cincinnati. I just don't understand how you are taking a quarterback and receiver as good as Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and almost minimizing them because of one player and the financial ramifications.
Mike T, you were a GM in two different places, so help me. I find myself thinking about this. There's clearly a major philosophical divide between what Hendrickson believes he is worth and what the Bengals are willing to pay him based upon his age and whatever other factors. In your experience, if both sides are as dug in as they seem to be, how does it get resolved? How does it wind up that he continues to play for them?
Yeah, there's a compromise. Maybe you give him the average per year that he wants, closer to T.J. Watt, maybe high 30s, low 40s, and then Cincinnati wins on the guarantee per year, or the inverse, where you give him a little bit more guarantees than you want, but then the average per year is where you want. So both sides could leave feeling like they got something, and that's really how you solve problems.
Our time is running out. And then there is the highest profile of all these situations, of course, with Micah Parsons, Schfter, and Dallas.
No deal in sight. So here's where you have to go, Greeny. If there's no deal in sight, what's going to happen? Is Micah going to play in the opener? We've already heard Jerry Jones wonder about whether Micah would be out there on opening day. What would be the Cowboys' plan here? Well, if obviously they can't get a long-term deal done and the two sides are not even talking about it right now, then they can always have Micah this year if he plays. And they'd have the franchise tag after this year. They'd have franchise tag the next year. They have his rights essentially for 3 years. At some point in time, you have to wonder if they would look to trade him. Now, they've been very opposed to that idea publicly, saying we're not interested in trading him. He's not going to be dealt. But you can't not sign the guy, and then you can't not trade him. It's one or the other. Either you're going to work on a long-term deal, which they haven't done with him, or you're going to have to explore other options, which they haven't yet. But there are people around the league who wonder if they'll get to that point in time. Clearly, status quo, the way it is right now, is not going to hold up. And so I think both sides are disappointed with the other side. We're waiting to see where this goes. And there's no deal in sight right now.
This one feels to me, Mike, and I'm sure you have a lot of experience in this area as well. The worst thing that can happen has happened, which is it has become personal.
Right.
Right? Both sides now are taking personally what is going on. It's only business. No, this has gone beyond only business, and that's a bad place to be.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why you have to get in the room, close the door, and say, we're committed to finding a win-win. And again, maybe, hey, Micah, we give you the length you wanted, or we give you the guarantees, but the average per year is a little bit closer to where we want. But to me, Greeny, if the four of us were running the Cowboys, where I would say, hey, well, we got to be careful. If he starts missing games, we saw Chris Jones miss a game a couple of years ago, was Jalen Ramsey in Jacksonville, where he didn't play because of a bad back, forced a trade to the Rams.
Who was his agent?
Yeah. David Moon's
It's the same agent that we have here.
So
yeah.
to me, if we're running the Cowboys, we're going to work really hard to get a deal done. We could probably miss one game against Philly, not ideal. But if this drags on into late September, early October, then we have to have the sober conversation about a trade.
Do the Cowboys want to get a deal done with him?
Well, let me point this out. He issued his trade request roughly 10 days ago. There has been nothing that has transpired on a new contract since then. Nothing.
Do they want to get a deal done with Micah Parsons?
Why wouldn't they?
I don't think they like him. I don't think they like each other. I could be dead wrong. I just don't. Well,
it's gotten personal to the point that you're making.
But that gets personal. A lot of that money stuff gets personal. There's something that feels like he doesn't like them, they don't like him, and it's a personal dislike that isn't attached to just money.
Right, but
trade request is 10 days ago and we haven't talked.
Right, but if we're running the Cowboys, like you're talking about Super Bowl windows, I'm not saying they're a Super Bowl team, but they have zero chance without Micah Parsons. They can have a good year, you know.
So that's my question. That's why I want to sit there. How? What, do they want to sign Micah Parsons? I'm not talking about the talent, the production. Do they want to sign Micah?
They don't. I mean, their actions tell you they don't. They haven't had any contract talks since Jerry and Micah were together in late March, and so nothing. And then when the player comes out and says, I want to be traded, and there's still no contract talks over 10 days, that would tell you something. And now we're getting into the period where Micah Parsons is going to have to make that decision. We heard Jerry Jones say, I don't know that he's going to play in the opener against the Eagles. Guess what? That opener is 3 weeks from Thursday night. Micah Parsons is going to have to decide whether or not he wants to be out there, whether or not he's willing to be out there. It certainly doesn't seem right now like they're going to be able to get a deal done before then, nor does either side want to get a deal done.
Real quick. Yeah, there's a softer deadline. If I'm Brian Schottenheimer, I'm saying to Micah, hey, I don't know what's going on with your contract. If you're not out here in the next 10 days practicing, I'm not going to play you on opening night because I don't want to put you in a
Micah says fine. Micah says fine.
Great.
Who did you just hurt?
Right, but then you're going to plan accordingly.
You're just fuel to the fire.
But you got to know from a head coaching perspective.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
This is how bad things have gotten there in Dallas, and it does not seem there's any obvious path to getting it better. As we continue, the Unicorn played both sides of the ball on Saturday. Should he really be doing that a month from now? What's best for the rookie? We're talking about it as we